Here we're going to go over the Diagnosis Assistant. That's Cerner's tool for choosing ICD-10 codes, and we can now use it when we're choosing orders that are intended to be performed after October 1st, so future orders. So that this works best if you go ahead and choose a diagnosis here. So you can see I've chosen my ICD-9 code here. I'm going to go ahead and order a CBC because I want the patient to come back in 3 months and get a CBC done. I'm going to leave this part blank with associating with the diagnoses because I know I'm going to need to put an ICD-10 code to it. If you actually click one of those, you will have to reselect an ICD-10 code once you get to the diagnosis section. So you'll get here to the order for future visit and go ahead and click on the calendar here and choose when you want to get this done. So I'm going to go ahead and pick in 3 months and click OK. And then when I go and choose a diagnosis, so I'm going to choose anemia here. And you can see now I just got this pop-up. So this is called the Diagnosis Assistant, and this is the tool that we'll be using a lot after October 1st. If you choose a specific enough ICD-10 code, you actually won't need to use this tool very much, but it will help you pick a more specific term if needed. So you'll start with the first box and go ahead and choose what the diagnosis is. Some of them you'll see if I click this one, there's really only one option if it's an acute post-hemorrhagic anemia, but that's not what this patient has. So if you want to go back, you can double click on whatever you just clicked. So I'm going to find the thing in this first category that most closely matches. I'm going to pick an iron deficiency anemia. And so at this point, I can either continue to choose selections along here until I get to just one, or I could just look at this drop-down box and choose a more specific code. And then for now, either you're done, you can click OK. One other thing you can look at here, there's this option to set the display. You can display this as either anemia, which is the search term that you used, or you can click on the more specific term. And so when we're using these ICD-10 codes after October 1st, that would be one way to make sure that you have the right specificity within your note as well as within your coding. Because then when you pull this code into your note as a diagnosis, it will have the appropriate specificity. So I'm going to click OK here. And you can see this target is the symbol that's used for ICD-10. When you have the target just like this means that you have a specified term. If you can hover over it, it'll tell you that. If there's an exclamation point in there, then that means that it is an unspecified term. And from this box, if it is unspecified, you can launch the Diagnosis Assistant. Since we're only choosing ICD-10 codes through the Diagnosis Assistant at this point, before October 1st, the codes that you choose should be specific enough, and you typically won't need to click on this box to launch the Diagnosis Assistant, but that will be a feature that's available later. If you would like to use the more specific code for this current visit and in your notes, you can change this little toggle to this visit, and then this will appear in the diagnoses for your visit. Don't use these codes for billing because the ICD-10 codes are not currently valid for billing, but it would pull in the more specific description into your note
if you wanted to do that.